Hi, I'm Kim Jamieson-Hirst at Chatterbox Quilts, and today I want to share a book with you that shows you how to take a panel and make a larger quilt project with it. And the book is called Quilt Panel Magic, 15 Projects with a Creative Twist, and it's by Cyndi McChesney. Now this book is published by C&T Publishing, so thanks so much to C&T for sending this book to me so I could share it with you. Now, if you're like me, you probably have just a few panels in your fabric stash, and you may be looking for ideas on what you can do with them. Well, this book has lots of ideas for you. So let's get into it and see what's in the book. First, in the contents area, you're going to see all the different projects that she's going to show you in the book. And as you can see, they're not all quilts. So there's some table runners, there's bags, there's even some pot holders in here. So a variety of projects that you can make with quilt panels. And before she gets into any of those patterns, she has information about choosing panels, and also what I found really helpful is how to take panels and square them up. Because we know that a lot of times when we buy panels, they're not printed quite on grain, they're a bit skewed sometimes, hard to work with them. So she shows you how to block those so that they are perfectly square, that is, so that you can work with them and have good results. She also talks about different kinds of panels, and you're going to see that as we go through the book. So you may have panels that is like one big design, or some that have smaller panels on them, or one that has a big panel and smaller ones as well. So she has different patterns for all those different types. Now, when she's making these larger projects, she uses other elements like half square triangles or flying geese, and even the ever popular, at least in my patterns, Dresden plate. So you're going to learn how to make some of those as well, so you can apply them to these quilt projects. Now, I mentioned different types of panels. So she starts off with projects for solo panels. So these are panels that there's just like one big design in them, as you can see here. So here's the panel here, and here is what it's going to look like when she's done with it, right? So I like that she shows the panel so you can see what she's starting with, and then you can appreciate the end result. Here's another one called A Bucket Full of Sunshine. And this particular one, she's got these little sunflowers around it. There's also leaves. She's picking up from what's in the panel. And one of the things I really like about this book too is that with each of these patterns, she has a make it your own at the end. So one of the quilters that has helped her with this book has made another kind of a similar project using the same kind of idea of what this particular one is, but using a different panel. So again, you're seeing the panel they start with, and you're seeing what they did with it. And in this particular case, you have these kind of little sunflowers, although they look a bit different because she's using different colors. And instead of the leaves, she's using this butterfly block, or these butterfly blocks. And Cyndi actually includes how to make that butterfly block. So I appreciate that. I always like to see either different colorways or different ways of working with the pattern. So that gives me more inspiration too. This one here is called Santa's Coming, very cute for Christmas, and you can see the panel in the middle there and all of the other elements that she's added around it, one of which is this tree, this kind of tall, skinny Christmas tree. And what I thought was really interesting is that not only is there a tree in this particular one, but there's 3 different houses here as well. So even if you didn't want to take a panel and make that particular project, you've got information on how to make a whole bunch of different blocks actually in this book that you might want to use to make a totally different project. So that's kind of an extra bonus, I think, in this book. Now she also gets into using panels that are like these multiple images on one panel, if you will. So you'll see like, maybe 6 or 8 or 9 small images on one panel. So there is no big design. There's just these small images on the panel. So this one called Besties uses that type of panel. So you can see what it started with here. So you can see all these a lot of different images on this particular one, and then what she did with them and what she created from that. Here's another one, similar idea. I've got to say, she's finding panels that have a lot of these images. Usually I see maybe 6 or 9. She's got a lot of these. So you can see how you can take something like this, which you're thinking, well, you could add borders to it, I guess, and just make something larger. But so much more interesting when you are bordering it with different little blocks, and adding different little blocks. You're kind of bordering the images and then adding different little blocks in there. It's just much more interesting. This is When Night Falls, the Forest Sings. I think that's really kind of a cute little name for that project. Now I mentioned there were some other projects in here too. For example, a trick-or-treat bag. So you got some practical projects, what I call practical, bags and pot holders, things like that, as opposed to the, gorgeous, we love to look at them projects, which are the quilts. So you've got this trick-or-treat bag here. So if you've got some of these smaller panels, these little images, you could use those to make a little trick-or-treat bag. Very cute. And of course, one of my favorite ones in the book is Catnap. Okay, this is such a cute panel. And in this particular section, what she's doing is she's working with those panels that have a large image in them, and then those smaller images around, as you can see in this panel here. So when you see something like this, I find these, perhaps to me anyway, the most difficult to work with, because I'm like, what am I going to do? Because they're not all the same size, right? But you can see what she's created here, just stunning. Catnap, very cute. So yeah, I really appreciated the images and the patterns in this particular section here, where she's got some different you've got different size images in that panel. And here's another tote bag. So depending on the size of your panel, this one's kind of interesting because we've got, really different sizes here. You've got this, long vertical one and then two smaller kind of horizontal ones. And she's used that to make this large tote bag. Now in the back of the book, you've got your templates. They're at 100%, which I absolutely love. I don't like having to enlarge my templates. And you've also got this QR code or a URL. You can use either. So you can either scan the QR code and then it will take you to the place online, the website online that has the templates, and you can print them out if you wanted to do that. So I appreciate having these different options for the templates, so it makes it easy for you no matter which way you want to go with those. So if you're looking for information on using up some of your quilt panels and making some different projects, check out Quilt Panel Magic, 15 Projects with a Creative Twist by Cyndi McChesney. You can find a link up above or in the description below. And if you're wondering if Cyndi has written other books on panels, yes, she has. So check out this video that has all the information that you need on that. And for more helpful quilting information, be sure to go to my website at www.chatterboxquilts.com.